Hello and welcome to the John Ark Show. Today we're going to interview actress Joanna Cassidy. She starred in the movie Blade Runner, where she played replicant Zora. She has also been in many other great movies and TV shows like Under Fire, The Fourth Protocol, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Package, Where the Heart Is, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, Vampire in Brooklyn, and Ghost of Mars, and many, many others. Before we begin, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up, so make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word. Now, let's say hello to Joanna Cassidy. Hi, Joanna. Welcome to the John Ark Show. How are you today?
Terrific.
Joanna, I have to say, you don't appear to be aging at all. What's going on? Are you a vegan or a vegetarian? What's going on over there?
I'm a replicant.
Are you? Oh, that's a great answer. Was that off the cuff? Did you have that ready?
Yeah, no, I do eat really well, though. I take very good care of myself.
Vegan? Vegan? Vegetarian?
No, I sort of let my body run the show, and if I feel like being a carnivore, I am, which is not often these days. But I prefer a plant-based diet, but
yeah, a lot of people are going carnivore, and it seems to be working for them. But to each his own. So, Joanna, I understand. What's that?
I'm laughing because I guess you are a carnivore.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm an aspiring carnivore. I last for about a week, and then I switch over to a mixed diet.
I gotcha.
So,
Yep.
Joanna, I understand you recently came back from overseas. Were you there for business or for vacation?
Oh, it was kind of business. Yes, I was in Italy, and I went to 6 different cities. It was very warm. There was 100 degrees, but in the summertime, they show movies outdoors. And so the promoter, or whatever you want to call them, in each city arranged for Blade Runner to be shown. I would introduce it and then go have dinner at 10 o'clock at night and then wait till the film was over. And then I'd go back and talk some more.
Did you go to the Amalfi Coast? Did you go to Amalfi at all?
I was more in the northern part. I went to, before I actually started doing anything, I went to Croatia and swam in those beautiful waters that are just so glorious.
Now, Denzel Washington's new Equalizer movie just came out a little while ago, and that was filmed on the Amalfi Coast. Oh my God, was it beautiful! And then Norman Reedus, who does the Walking Dead TV series, he also does a show called Rides with Norman Reedus, where they take motorcycles and they travel through various countries. And a couple of episodes ago, he did one in Italy, and I had no idea Italy was that spectacular. So
it's spectacular.
just amazing.
It is. Lucky him. Good for him. I mean, isn't that wonderful how a show that he did is just spun off into this very organic kind of life that he has now. It's just fantastic.
Well, I thought, okay, everybody should be entitled to one major hit in their lives. And of course, he got Walking Dead. Then he does the second show, Rides, and that show is at least as good. At least it is just spectacular. This weekend he went to Portugal before he went to Amalfi. It was just really nice. So now you have starred in a long list of hit TV movies and shows. How did you end up in so many high quality projects? Was your agent just really good at finding quality movies, or did you develop a sense for what you thought would work and what you thought would be good?
You're going to laugh at this, but I have often wondered how I even got into showbiz. I had no interest whatsoever. I was a scientist and an artist, and went to Syracuse University to study fine art, which I did for a year. So I went to this very unique woman out in Topanga Canyon a few years ago, and I asked her she studies with the African medicine men in it's a place called Five Mountains in Africa. And she literally gave up this huge life of running this gigantic corporation in Australia. And she decided to become a healer and I don't know, not a psychic, but basically a healer and a channeler, communicator, whatever. Anyway, so I went to her and we sat across the blanket from one another, and she put all these odd things into this basket, like bones and feathers, and it was huge. It was a huge basket. She shook it up, turned it over, and my session began. And I said, one of the questions I asked is, how did this happen? How is it that I ended up in this extremely challenging business? And she said, well, and this was after a good half an hour, she said, well, you were born with a jinn in you. And I said, I'm not sure I know what a jinn is. She said, well, it's a very ancient spirit that you were born with, and it wanted to come through you. It wanted this life. And I said, oh, great. So I get to be irresponsible about this. It had nothing to do with me. She said, it had to do with you, but you, I know this is going to sound very weird, you were sort of the host of this spirit. I said, well, I guess it's a he. He's had a damn good time with me because we've done all kinds of things. He said, and truly the answer to your question, I mean, I sidetrack on things, questions like that, because I really do wonder myself, but I think it has a great deal to do with energy and just wanting to have a good time in life and wanting to get out of a small town, which is where I was raised in New Jersey, and just wanting to move it on. Somewhere, I guess I figured I had one life to live, and I was going to live it as big as I possibly could. And I do believe we attract energies, and the realistic part of the answer is the fact that when I came into show business, there were not as many people. There was not the internet. Beauty was key at that time because it was not about real people. It was about the business was sort of about characters and beautiful people. And I had a beauty when I was younger that I was very fortunate to be gifted with. And so I was able to fit in. And I did have one champion in my life, which was a woman by the name of Joyce Selznick, who was a casting person and who was part of the Selznick family. She was an adopted child, but she was very powerful in Hollywood, and she gave me my start.
You know, first of all, I put my money on an African healer any day now instead of a major pharmaceutical company, because I see what these drugs are doing to people that are supposed to be helping them. Secondly, it's not just beauty, but also unpretentious beauty, which makes you seem very welcoming and warm. And third, I suspect there is a great deal of luck in the way doors open for you. Not a lot, but there is some luck. And I think it's a combination of all those things that makes things happen. It really does. So there's no guile, there's no pretension in you. You're just very, warm and very friendly. So I think that's part of it. So you started your career out with a small role in a movie called Bullet with Steve McQueen. Did you get to meet Steve? And if so, what was he like?
I sure did. We were shooting at the Spreckles Mansion. And one of the reasons why I got, and that's in San Francisco, on a very steep hill. And one of the reasons I got hired was because I had a fur, which was really like a raccoon collar around my coat, but it was fur. And I had a car. I had a good Mustang convertible. And Steve, as you know, is a driver and loves cars and all that. Anyway, we were in a line up and down this hill, and there was the AD yelling, "Okay, action!" And we had to pull up in front of the mansion, put our car in park or whatever, and get out to go to this big event at the mansion. And Steve was shooting on the balcony outside. Well, my car was had a clutch, and he kept he wouldn't say action right away. So my car was heating up because I was on the brake and on the clutch, and I'm 2-footing it, and I'm trying to stay in without blowing out the clutch. Anyway, he said action. We're going up, and all of a sudden he says stop, and my clutch just died, and my car started going backwards, and the brake was, oh my God, it was. Steve jumped off the balcony, saw what was happening, then jumped, and came running over, jumped over the side, pushed me out of the way, put the car in gear, drove the car around the block, and saved me from having to pay for these incredibly expensive cars like Jaguars and this sort of thing. And I just sat there in the passenger seat, and I was just so blown away. He was, those eyes, number one, I was mesmerized, but the fact that he took over and did this heroic thing and saved my ass and the production. So
was it love at first sight for him, or what was the working relationship?
But I think he fell in love with the car, not so much me, but I was pretty cute then.
Well, so what is your astrological sign? I'm curious.
I'm a Leo.
Leo, so it makes sense that you would save the car and save the movie. The both of you, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, in addition to doing a lot of great movies early on, you also appeared in a long list of TV shows like Mission Impossible, which I loved as a kid, Starsky and Hutch, Taxi, and a lot of others. Was that also luck? Was it fortuitous? Was it your agent working overtime to get these projects for you? Was that also the case there? Or was it some kind of black magic going on? What was going on over there? How did you get all these projects?
Well, I have a thing about me that I've always had, and I don't give up. I will do anything, short of some things, to push things along. When I want something, I go after it. And I had 2 children. I wasn't married. I was a single mom, and I had to keep the roof over our head. I had to keep things going. So I had to work. And I would meet these people. I think too, there was an aura about me that I could kind of win over a room, particularly with males, because I had that thing going on, that I had a vibe. I had a hot vibe, let's put it that way. And
a lot of Leos do, by the way.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. That's correct. And they use Arnold. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
He was one of my early projects. I did a film with him. Arnold's a trip. He has
Which movie were you in?
Stay Hungry.
Oh, okay. That's going back.
With Jeff Bridges and Sally Field. Yeah,
I've met Arnold a couple of times, and he's very professional, but he's not as likable as you. So, he comes up a little short there. Yeah. So, that's interesting. So you mentioned earlier that you enjoyed both art and science. Which science were you interested in?
Well, I wanted to, because I started collecting butterflies when I was a young girl, around 7. Somebody gave me a butterfly net, and I really followed that. I became a very serious lepidopterist, and I was interested in bugs and butterflies. And there was a man in the neighborhood where I grew up in New Jersey who worked for the National Geographic and shot all these incredible creatures. And I would go to his house and sit for hours. He had tray after tray of beetles and butterflies, and we would talk for hours. His name was Mr. Cox. And as a little girl, I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm going to go to South America and work for the National Geographic. This is going to be my work, my life's work. And it somehow got by me.
Now, did you lose your interest in bugs once you got into Hollywood?
Well,
not really.
The bugs got replaced by snakes, and any other creature that I found interesting.
So now, in 1982, you appeared in Ridley Scott's masterpiece, Blade Runner. Were you aware of how incredible it would be while you were working on it, or did that not become apparent until after you saw it on the big screen?
Oh, no, I knew it was going to be incredible. I had admired Ridley from the very first when I saw the movie The Duelists. And I thought, boy, that man has an eye. He just zeroes in on character and light. He sees the light in a different way that most people see it. It's almost like he brings it through a character. He illuminates them. And I feel that he certainly did that with the first Blade Runner.
You know, I've seen a number of Blade Runner documentaries on YouTube, and they're usually, some of the stars and actors standing around in between takes, or, in between this or in between that. And when it's filmed, it all looks very normal. But then when the movie comes out and you see it all properly lit, it looks amazing. I mean, I talked to that other character from Blade Runner. He was the guy in that incredible home who had these square glasses. I forget.
Oh, Joe?
It's been a while, maybe Joe, but he had those square glasses, and the replicants were there trying to squeeze him for information.
Yeah. That was Joe Turkel.
Yeah. Very nice guy. But when I see that scene once again in its final finished form, everything, remember when they dim the windows electronically? That was decades ahead of its time. So
phenomenal. Yep.
So tell me, how did Blade Runner come to you? Went through your agent once again, or did somebody else notice you somewhere?
Well, I did have a snake, and my British agent, Bobby Lippman, gave me the script. There isn't anybody else that can play this, Joanna. You have to play this. So he set up a meeting with Ridley, and we sat together, and he read with me, which is very unusual. And he said, that's fine. Yeah, okay. That's good enough. And he said, we'll get through this. He said, are you shy at all? I said, of course I'm shy. He said, well, because you may have a very unique costume. He said, okay, we'll get to it. And it kind of happened that way, that's how it used to happen in the old days, where you would meet a director and he'd say, oh, that's the person I want.
So, your acting and your action sequences in the movie with Harrison Ford, they really do stand out because Harrison's not really playing himself. He's playing like a gay variant of himself in order to disarm you. And you're walking around with a snake. And so you're both sort of versions of yourself. And was that hard to play, or was that pretty easy?
Well, I didn't know Harrison was going to use that weird voice until he got on the set, and I just, oh, what is he doing? And I thought it was brilliant, actually. It was, the whole thing was disconcerting because I'm walking around basically in 3 pasties and glitter, and I really had to get used to that. It's so bizarre. And the snake, and I didn't know what Darling was going to do, and actually he was brilliant in the scene, Darling the snake. Mm-hmm. and we did it a lot. Ridley was very real perfectionist.
How long did that scene take to film before Ridley got what he wanted?
Well, I didn't come on the film until the very end. Unfortunately, we didn't end up having time to do my dance. I worked 3 weeks, the last 3 weeks of the film, of the shooting. And then they were looking at a director's strike, a writer's strike. And anyway, so the film had to end, plus they were over budget, and the Parentio and the other producer were freaking out because they didn't know what they had. They did not know. They didn't understand what they had. And I guess that scene in the dressing room, it took a few days because I know we did about 40 takes of mine strangling Harrison, and finally he said, I don't want to do this anymore. Get the stunt double. I said, fine. The run up to being shot took a few days, all the stunt work, and everything was at night. And then and then there was one shot, one take to go through the glass, and that was my stunt double. She did the best she could at hiding her face, but it always bugged me, and so I redid it 25 years later. I still had the costume, and I got Warner Brothers to reshoot it. We did.
Which of the movies or television shows in your life had a profound effect on your life or your career? Was it Blade Runner? Was it some other project that really changed your life quickly?
Well, Blade Runner certainly was an entree into the big time, because after that it was Who Framed Roger Rabbit and The Package and Under Fire. If I could have worked a lot more with Gene Hackman. I loved working with him, and he loved working with me. I mean, we could have been a pair. And
I've never seen him in a bad movie. Not one.
Never. He's never bad. He's so solid. He finds that place to get into, and he goes there. And it's not method acting. He's not, that way offset or anything else. He just has it when he walks on the set. He is that character. He's amazing.
I watched The French Connection about a year ago, and I think that was like one of his earliest projects, and he was so good.
Oh, so good. So good.
So when your children first saw you in some of your great movies, the movies you've made, whether it's Blade Runner or some of the others, what was their reaction?
Nothing profound. I mean,
did they recognize you in some of your outfits?
Yeah, but I'll always be mom.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't change. My children have just sort of taken it for granted that that's what I do. I never made a thing about it.
Do any of them aspire to work in your field?
No.
Interesting. That's really rare. That's surprising. So what kind of projects were you most attracted to throughout your career? Was it action? Was it drama? Was it something else? Something more cerebral?
I like action. I like I like to do stunts. And, I mean, even John Carpenter's film, Ghost of Mars, that was fun. We were jumping off trains and moving trains. And I just like that. I like it. I like being outside. Some actors like being on a set and being inside. They don't mind if it's dark all day on a set. It makes me crazy. I'd much rather be outside and working in the air.
Did you ever see a Carpenter movie called They Live?
Oh, sure.
So, on screen, your characters have a tendency to hypnotize their leading men with a combination of beauty and intelligence. Is that just a natural disposition on your part, or is that pushed by the script or the director? Because it's a very common thread throughout your movies.
Thank you for that compliment. I just am who I am. It's hard for me to discern how I come across. The one thing I've never wanted to do is play a dumb blonde or a dumb redhead, although that kind of choice is done very well for some actresses, but I don't necessarily make a choice about showing an intelligence. I know the one thing that is inherent in me is a sexuality that I've always known and that I have used in my career.
Yeah, but it's effortless. I see it's effortless on the screen.
It's kind of, it's kind of like flirting, which always came easily to me, and I rather enjoy it. I love that, back and forth. But I mean, and then that. Oh, hi, Scout. Oh, my cat. Okay. Of course, there was
that a cat or a dog?
It's it's my rescued cat. Hi, baby.
And the cat's name is Boo?
Scout.
I'm sorry?
Scout.
Scout. Oh, okay. All right. So, if you hadn't become an actor, what do you think you would have done?
Oh boy, I don't know where I would have fallen because I got married so young. I got married at 18
Wow.
And had a child.
What is his sign?
He was a Sagittarius.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, what has given you more pleasure in life, being a successful actress or being a mom?
Being a mom has been very challenging. I think being a mother, being a parent is not an easy thing, especially being a single parent. It's giving me, I'll be perfectly honest with you, it's giving me more joy now that I have processed my own life and I've grown, I've changed, my life is not chaotic now. I feel like I've grown away from, the madness of Hollywood. I don't feel like I'm in that maelstrom anymore. And I think that was hard on myself and my children because my mind was on something else. The thing that's given me the most joy in life goes back to being a creative person. I like nothing more than I had a landscape business for a while. And I had a business where I would come into people's homes and I would take their entire house, and rather than going out and buying new furniture or painting it, or I might have painted it, but I switched all the furniture around. So I made it like a new house over a weekend. And to this day, I think the business I would have gone into actually, to answer your question from before, is I would have gone into flipping houses and doing that. I love nothing more than the process of taking an old home and, pardon me, rescuing it.
A lot of Leos are business owners. One of my cousins, she's a Leo, and she's a physician with her own practice, which is basically a business. And that's really common. A lot of singers are lead singers. J-Lo, for example, she runs her own production company. Leos love to run their own businesses. And the other thing that I know about Leos and Sagittarians is they both attract a lot of attention wherever they go. So I'm curious, when you and your Sagittarian husband go out in public, who gets more attention, you or he? Or is it comparable?
I haven't been married to him for years.
Oh, okay. But when you were?
Oh, I did.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise
But
me.
he vied for attention.
Really?
Oh, yes, definitely.
That's interesting.
He was a very smart man and a budding psychiatrist. So he liked to trick people into psychological games, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I dated a psychiatrist for a few minutes, and I couldn't take much of it.
I couldn't either.
The endless analysis, Jesus Christ. So how do you like to spend your free time? Are you a Netflix movie binging person? Do you have some other interests?
Oh, I will do that. If there's a good show, I'm all over it. And I will stay up till 4:00 in the morning to watch a great show. Happy Valley was one of my favorite shows. I like the new show with Jennifer Aniston, the news, what's it called? Something. Anyway, that's really good. I like a lot of foreign television series, and I'll spend an entire weekend. Before COVID, I'm a total movie buff. On Friday, I would go see 3 movies that were opening up. I just love it. I don't mind being alone. I prefer being alone. I go to the movies alone. I do a lot of things on my own. I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that.
So I'm guessing once everybody finds out that you're single, then the phone starts to ring like crazy. And are you single now? Do you enjoy being single? Do you go out on dates a lot? What is that like these days?
I actually don't attempt to date because I'm a little afraid to go on those things.
The websites?
Yeah, I think it's kind of weird. It's I guess what I would have to do is pay somebody to find me someone, because I don't want to do 40 coffees, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I would. Yeah, if it came my way, of course. I mean, I like the interaction, and I like people. So it would be nice. I have so little time. I mean, I don't have a lot of time, but it doesn't mean that there can't be a special way of being with someone. You know, you don't have to. I feel that I don't have to be with someone 24/7 at all.
You can always date via Zoom, I guess.
Well, that's a little iffy.
Too far in the other
I could
direction.
do that once.
Well, Joanna/Leo, it has been great having you on the John Ark Show. Before we wrap things up, is there anything you would like to promote?
Well, yeah. Yes. Pardon me. I have, interestingly enough, I have I'm on Instagram, official Joanna Cassidy. I have a website that's officialjoannacassidy.com. I have a beverage company that I'm a part of.
What kind of beverage do you make?
Well, it's alcohol, actually, and and I don't drink.
I
But
have never drank alcohol in my entire life. That's very interesting.
really,
So
oh my
you
gosh,
have a what's that?
that's really something.
Yeah, it's rare. I mean, very few people have never drank or smoked or done drugs in their
Right.
entire life. I know that Trump hasn't. I know that Muhammad Ali has not. I know that it's just a small handful of people, and the people who do that tend to be significant achievers because they have the discipline to not do the other things. So, what kind of beverage is it? What do you
Well, it's called Mulholland Distillery, and it's gin and vodka and whiskey.
do you put your face on the bottle like Paul Newman and his
Well,
drink?
no, it's I'm I I'm part owner, and no, I didn't want to go there because since I don't drink, it's kind of a contradiction.
Well, you know, your catchphrase could be this drink that I'm selling is so good that even though I've never drank alcohol, I thought I would bring this to the market for those of you who love it. I think there's something there psychologically, you know. I think that's, I think that's
Yes,
very telling.
yep. Well, when I first tasted it, which was 7 years ago, and this fellow was going around we were all downtown at an art show, and he brought out, there were about, I don't know, 20 of us or so, and he brought all these little shot glasses and poured this gin in the shot. I said, no, thanks. I don't want any. I don't drink gin. And this was at a time when I still was imbibing. And he kept saying, oh, come on, you got to try it. I said, no, I really, I don't like it. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like it. He said, well, here, just smell it. So I smelled it, and it smelled pretty good. And I thought, oh, why not? So I did a shooter, and I turned to him and I said, I want to be your gin girl. so, so the next day I went and I got in touch with him, and I gave them money.
So years ago, I started a company called HollywoodIsCalling.com that allows people to purchase live phone calls with celebrities. And because of that, I knew and got to know a lot of celebrities who either worked with me or I happened to meet. But everybody drank and everybody enjoyed life. And, and that was their big thing, drinking or smoking weed or whatever. And I never did. And I always thought that, maybe I should have reconsidered that whole philosophy because, the people who do drink do seem to enjoy life a lot. I was just talking about this with somebody else. And the people who completely abstain, they tend to, walk the straight and narrow, maybe a little too straight and a little too narrow. So, who knows? But I was always afraid of getting involved in that because I always wanted to stay healthy. So anyways.
Well, it's a fine line because people who drink giggle a lot more and have more kind of crazy laughs, and I used to too. I mean, I used to have a lot of fun,
Yeah.
but I'm really disciplined about my life now, and I know it's important to be much more present and clear. So this is just a choice that I made.
Well, I want to thank you once again for coming on the John Ark Show. I want to wish you and your family all the best. And you're always welcome back on the John Ark Show, my new friend Joanna.
Well, I would love it. I think you're an absolute delight, and what a good interviewer you are. Yes, anytime.
You make it very easy. So thank you for the compliment, but it's mostly you. All right. Well, thank you once again, and bye-bye.
Ciao.
Thank you for watching. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our channel for free. You can also like, comment, and follow us. We're going to have a lot of great celebrity interviews coming up. So make sure to click on that notification bell so you can be notified every time we upload a new episode. Also, we ask that you post a link to today's show on all your social media to help spread the word. Thank you, and we shall talk to you soon. Bye-bye.